In this video, we're going to show you the exact roadmap that we use to help busy personal trainers condense their work into 3 to 4 hours a day, make their first $10,000 online, and turn their business into an income-producing asset so that they don't have to trade time for money on the gym floor. If you're new to our world, that probably sounds fucking crazy. I get it. Our job in this video is not to convince you of anything. It's not to prove anything. We just want to show you a different perspective of how you can look at growing your business. And really our goal here is just to show you what works for us, what works for our clients. And if that's helpful to you, amazing. We've got some stuff on the whiteboard that we want to walk through and show you guys. So I'm going to pull that up.
Let's go.
And we'll get stuck in. So this video is not going to be for everybody. If you are the kind of person who loves in-person and you just want to get really busy at in-person, this is not the video for you. This is going to be about how you get off the gym floor, how you stop trading your time for money and create more freedom for the things you actually want to do in your life. This is also not for you if you're brand new. If you've just been qualified or if you've not been in the industry for more than 12 months, you're not already busy on the gym floor. This is like, you're welcome to stick around, but it's really designed for people that are already flat out on the gym floor, already working with clients. This video really is for, like I said, the people that are already busy. So if that's you, I think you will get a lot of value from this. It's also for the PTs and trainers who want to learn how to condense their work into about 3 to 4 hours a day so that they can run their business and do everything they need to from about, depending whatever time you want to start, but say 7 a.m., close the laptop at, well, get off the gym floor at 11 a.m., and then you've got the rest of the day to do whatever you want with your time.
Matt, I want to drill that down. I know you're going to roll into this.
Yeah.
This is really possible, guys. It takes time, but being a dad, having 3 kids, you can literally, and we coach our guys to run this in a very condensed way, but a very leveraged way.
Yes, without losing income as well. That's the key part. I will just say, like, we're going to say some things that will probably challenge your perspective of what's possible. Just know that everything here is grounded in results that we've generated for clients, that we've done ourselves. And if you do feel like something, like you're obviously probably going to be skeptical. If you are, I just ask that you suspend your disbelief for the duration of this video and then watch all the way to the end, and then you can make your decision on whether you think we're full of shit or whether we're not. Thirdly, this is for trainers who want to learn how to build a business that funds a life of freedom, fun, and adventure. So if you want more of that, this will be helpful. Lastly, if you want to turn your business into a vehicle that creates real wealth, that allows you to invest, that allows you to build your net worth, invest in property, stocks, whatever it is, this is also going to be for you. We're here to create a legacy, to create wealth that we can either sell or pass on to our family. This is, if that's something that you want to do, then this is going to be very insightful for you as well. Before we get into the roadmap and that sort of stuff, what I want to do is give you a little bit of a background on who we are, because if you're new to our world and you haven't met us and you don't know our background, then it'd probably be helpful for you to understand some of those things so that you understand why you should probably listen to us.
Yeah, and why these are our beliefs, the way we've built our business, right?
100%, 100%. So, my name's Matt, this is Mark. We run a business called Coaches Collective, as the sign states. We coach personal trainers on how to do these things every single day. That's pretty much what we do. The short version of our story is that Mark started off as a financial advisor early on. He then went into pretty much PT. He did almost every variation of business model that a personal trainer can run, from semi-private to having PTs underneath you, to studios, to corporate, to all of those things. And like, give us a little, like, 30-second snapshot of what that was like. Yeah,
I think I always got into the industry with a business brain. So kind of got in through, commerce and financial advisory. So that was something I always saw people, how they generated wealth. And then obviously through a lot of injuries, got into the industry, just passionate about learning about rehab and S&C. And I just always thought, it never made sense to me one-on-one. I wanted to leverage my time as much as possible. Those evolutions led from coaching clients to them wanting to talk and speak to a lot of people. And so I worked a lot with corporate. And then I wanted to give back and help trainers and teach them what I was doing, because they were like, how are you doing this?
Yeah.
So
when he says this, he means like starting work at about 7, finishing by 11, going and doing corporate talk where you might make $3,000-$4,000 in an hour.
That was the big shift, was understanding, yes, I had a leverage model, and then I'd go off in my suit and I'd go and speak in 1 or 2 gigs sometimes a day. And I was making as much as I was making in PT in 2 to 4 hours a week. So for me, it was like the big shift was going from like time for money kind of, and I got that model, and then I started wanting to have, I became value-based. And that was a huge paradigm shift for me. It was like, hang on, I charge this much and then I make that much. It was almost like, I know my worth now. And that's what I want to teach, coaches how to do. Leverage what's in their brain.
Yeah, and you're not the kind of person that likes to talk about income too much, but I think it's important context for the guys. You were at the point where you're doing $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, sometimes up to $20,000 a week when you were back as a PT, between corporate and the trainers that you had underneath you that you were mentoring and that sort of stuff. So like this, and again, like you were doing it in a very leveraged way that was very time efficient, that gave you freedom as well, which,
I want to share this. I'm really publicly, no one really gives a shit about what you're making. They care about how you help them.
Yes.
So one of the reasons why and if you struggle with that online and you don't want to get into all that wankerish stuff, I find that very American. But yeah, like I always wanted to, I wanted to, through my family and my history, I want to learn how to make money and have my money make money. So I was always passionate about that, and I was always smart that, yes, I want to make an income, but I wanted to make it leverage. And yes, we sit in a house that we've just renovated, and we've got great things, and my wife and I have worked really hard, and we want to, my big why is I've got 3 kids. I want to set them up. I want to teach them skills. I want to teach them how to leverage themselves and be very smart. It's something I'm passionate about. It's a big part of my why. And then I want to teach you guys how to actually do that and do it for yourselves, because yes, you can make great income, but if you can build wealth, I've made way more money from the assets, from houses that we own and things that generate an income. The income's great, but you also want to have a lifestyle in the process and not stress yourself out and physically be stuck to a location. That's not freedom for me anyway.
No. How we met is you obviously then, after, I don't know how long you were in the industry, 15 years or so, PT?
From 2015, I was more going into education, into the online space, and then I realized pretty quickly what I learned on the gym floor.
You had run RTOs and education companies, and ended up with a company that taught S&C pretty much around the world, doing events and qualifications and all sorts of stuff. So that's how we met. I've got a long history in online marketing, going on 10 years now. I'm only 28, so that's like a good chunk of my life.
You're old for your years.
Yes.
You seriously are.
Thank you. And we met when I was the head copywriter at one of the biggest Facebook ad agencies in Australia. Mark's business was doing over 7 figures. We worked together closely during our time, my time there, and came up with some really cool campaigns. Ended up taking their business from about 1 mil to about 2.5, with the stuff that we created and the ads and the funnels and the things that we built together. And once we kind of parted ways from those previous roles and
through COVID, by the way, can I share on this, guys? The reason why I work with Matt is because genuinely I've worked with 6 different agencies. If you get into the space and understand ads and these things, like Matt's, your attention to detail is next level. And guys, when you watch our YouTubes and you see how we think, and that's what you want to do, you want to rent our brain. I just love what I was doing, and then I realized, honestly, like Matt's skill in marketing is next level. Mine in industry and understanding and systems and sales. Matt is fucking brilliant at understanding how to articulate your message and how to get these things out into the world. And it's like, it was the missing gap for me. We're not, fitness people trying to be marketers. In our space, Matt's incredible at understanding marketing, copywriting. So like, that underdoes your skill. But yes, it is so important that you build this skill, because it's one of the highest leverage things you can do to learn how to articulate your message and attract the people you want into your world.
Yeah. And again, not to be a wanker, but having worked with the amount of clients that I have in my career and the things that I've done with them, like I've helped clients generate tens of millions of dollars, and you yourself have generated millions of dollars through businesses that you've owned and been part of. So, we walk the walk, guys. Like, this is not This is not something that we're just like fucking making up. This is not fabrication. This is stuff that we've learned over decades of experience. So with that, I would love to get into why the guys or whoever's watching might want to turn their business into an income producing asset. So I'm going to jump back on the whiteboard.
Yeah.
And I'd love to walk through a bit of a diagram. So when it comes to the biggest difference between poor people and wealthy people, the biggest difference is that the poor people work for income. They work for income, and then they use that income to pay for their lifestyle. Wealthy people, they create, see if I can write today, create and acquire assets. And those assets are income producing assets specifically, because then they use their income to either purchase or create those assets. Those assets then fund their lifestyle. They then use those assets and the income they produce from those assets to either grow their investment portfolio or fund their life. And so that's the biggest difference, is that the poor work for income, whereas the wealthy create and acquire assets. Now there's a diagram that I want to walk you guys through called the cash flow quadrant. If you haven't heard of a guy called Robert Kiyosaki, I highly recommend you go and read his books. There's a few books that, I mean, pretty much every one of his books is awesome. The main two are Rich Dad Poor Dad and the cash flow quadrant. The cash flow quadrant looks like this. Basically, it's a framework that he uses to explain, again, this different difference between the poor and the wealthy. So on the left-hand side, we've got E, which stands for employees. On the bottom, we've got S, which stands for self-employed. On the top right, we've got B, which stands for business owner. On the bottom right, we've got I, which stands for investor. Now, these people all work for income, right? So most personal trainers, you're going to be here in the self-employed quadrant.
Matt, can I just whilst you're saying this, some guys will go, so you're saying I'm poor, and we've had dickheads like this that don't get content online, yes. And when you're doing a snippet, you grab a little bit and you get triggered. What you need to understand is that in that book, he talks about the rat race. If you are always in the cycle of make money, and then obviously you have clients, and then they go, and your income fluctuates up and down. If you look at the average population, I think it's 10% of people earn over 100 grand. Think about that. That's fuck all. When you think about how expensive life is, and you're always working and trading your time for money, you will always be in this cycle. And that's why I said it's so hard for people to get out. Yeah. And where I really got this, and I know you're going to talk about it, but I had a great mentor, a guy called Gavin Freeman, who is an Olympic sports psych. I used to do my corporate speaking with him. He was a consultant, so the same thing, working time for money. And then he realized he was always chasing like contracts and work, just like you guys, PTs, clients, and helping them get a result. People come, people go. And great, you can earn good income, but you have nothing that's saleable. And this is what you want to get about the difference between poor and wealthy. He then changed, just before COVID, about 4 years ago, he developed a system, a process, software around his brain, and he recently sold that for 90% of it for 21 million. So think about developing that system, something that was saleable, something
intellectual property,
right? Now he has the choice of whether he even wants to work or not. Yeah. So I wanted to understand poor versus what the wealthy do.
Yes. And the other big difference is that if you can't stop working and you can't if you don't have the choice over whether you stop working or not, then you're poor. I'm sorry to say, you're poor. You don't have complete command and choice over what you do with your time, then you're poor. It's not a matter of money or not, it's a matter of choice. The wealthiest people have choice.
I can't tell you how many times that happened. Global financial crisis for me. A couple of things around 2015, 2014, and it just highlighted, geez, that stuff was fragile, that business.
Yeah. So as a coach, as a trainer, your whole goal, if you want to do those things that we talked about at the start, if you want to have freedom, fun, and adventure, if you want to be able to create real wealth, your whole goal needs to be to move from this quadrant to this quadrant. The biggest difference, again, is that this side creates and acquires assets, but they do that by leveraging, so business owners do that by leveraging O, PT, other people's time, right? Investors leverage their money. So they use money to acquire assets, whereas business owners use systems and other people's time and technology to create the assets, right? So that's the biggest difference. And I want you guys to really understand that. Now, when it comes to turning your business into an income producing asset, it's not something that can just be done overnight. It's not something that can be done even in a matter of months. It's a long journey. It will take multiple years to get to the point where you have a real income producing asset that will generate you revenue regardless of whether you work or not. It takes time to get there. This is a bit of a timeline that I drew out just because this is typically what it looks like for most trainers. Usually, to get to the point where it is a true income producing asset, where it's generating, say, $500,000 a year, which is about 10K a week, it will take at least 3 years. That's at least, right? It has been done in less time. Most of the time, it will take you longer. Again, this is not a hard and fast rule of how much time it takes. This is more of this is what's possible.
It's what growth looks like, though.
Yes.
That's what it looks like.
So the journey really is like a 3 to 5 year journey. If I was to explain the whole journey and list out everything you had to do to go from here to there, this video would be fucking hours long. So I'm not going to do that. But what I do want to do is walk you through kind of like the 3 kind of milestones, which are these lines here. I want to walk you through those 3 milestones and also give you the first kind of like projects and the roadmap that you need to follow to reach this first milestone here. So the milestones look like this. Over here, we've got 10K per week, which is a little over $500,000 a year. The second milestone is 10K per month, right? That is the big, not the big goal, but it's the first kind of initial milestone. That's where you get to the point where you're generating consistent 6 figures a year. That's $120,000 a year, okay? If you can do that online, now it's starting, your business is has the potential to become a very real asset, right? And this little milestone, the reason that's the milestone is because once you get to that point, now you have not just time and money, not just money, but you have time as well to be able to invest in the business and generate it, get it to the point where it's doing 10K a week. The first milestone though, is your first 10K. All right, so again, that milestone is there because once you get to that point, once you generate your first $10,000 online, all of a sudden it becomes, it changes your perspective of what's possible. Now it becomes a real thing, okay? Do we need to?
No, don't worry.
Okay, cool.
Food's here, it's all good.
Easy, cool. Cool, so those are the 3 milestones. Now, obviously, I'm not gonna walk you through everything you need to do to get to those points.
Can I just share something on this?
Yeah.
Guys, if you look at this 3-year timeline and call it a 3-year timeline, what I want you to understand is if you want to create an income producing asset, you can do so much in 3 years. And that's why a lot of the science has changed where we used to look and plan 5 years in advance. You guys experienced COVID. If shit hits the fan, everything's going to change very quickly. So in 3 years, making a huge commitment to create an income producing asset, 3 years, if you really commit to it and you think about setting up the next 10 years, what you do in the next 3 years with focused effort, you can get a lot done.
Yeah.
So I think people overestimate what they can get done in 1 year and they find it hard to keep focused on the long term.
They drastically underestimate what they can do in 3.
In 3, right? So I just wanted to say that because then when we come back to this first little, 3 months or 90 days, we build a lot of trust with people and we get you to act really fast because that's what creates trust. Guys, anyone that can promise you the world, but getting you into action and doing more than you've ever done with coaching is about speed of execution, which is why we love to work with people that act.
Yep.
On what they want to go after. And when you get the wins and you start to stack wins, you start to go, wow, I can see how this can work.
Yep.
But that first 90 days is critical to get the momentum.
Yeah, 100%. With that, we'll segue into the actual roadmap. Now, this is the diagram we use to explain the process, and we call it the relaunch. The relaunch because you're relaunching your business not as a time for money business, but as a income producing asset, but we're also launching your online business. So like you were saying, that first kind of little milestone, this is like 12 weeks, roughly 3 months, 12 weeks. That's like 1 quarter in a year.
It's very, very small. It's in terms of 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. And this is, again, it's the first little milestone. So that's our first goal. Anytime someone comes to work with us, right, the first thing we look at is how can we get them their first 10K? And we look at doing that in about 10 weeks, give or take, right? So that's our first goal. The reason that's the goal is because anytime that somebody comes to work with us, one, that shows them that it's possible, that it's doable, and this can actually be a real business and they can in fact do it. But the other thing is it makes their investment back, like, I don't know the exact multiple, but plenty.
Yeah, well, it's at least 300% in the first
big time.
9 months.
So given that's our goal, what I want to show you is kind of the roadmap to how we get there. There's usually 3 obstacles though that get in the way. The first one is that you are stuck in sessions. If you're spending most of your week, most of your days on the gym floor training clients, it means that you won't have time to actually build the asset, to create the income producing asset and do the things you need to do to turn it into a real business. The second issue is no leads. Leads are what drive business. If you don't have leads, you don't have a business. Lastly, nervous sales.
Or you certainly won't be growing, or it will be incredibly slow.
Yes, exactly. Now, you could have all the leads in the world, but if you don't have a good sales process and you're nervous on calls and you're stumbling over your words and you're not certain and have conviction in what you're communicating, you're not going to end up with clients. So that's the other issue that we need to handle is the sales process. So we need to basically reverse those problems. What that looks like is this. We want to condense delivery and ideally get it down to about 3 to 4 hours a day. So if we can take you from working, say, 40, 50, 60 hours a week, condense it into less than 20 or about 15, that's ideal because now you've got a lot more time to work on your business instead of in it. On this side, we want to have leads every day. If we've got new conversations and new things happening every single day, you are never wondering where the next client is coming from. You're never wondering, oh, how am I going to put food on the table? How am I going to pay for rent or anything like that? You've got leads in the pipeline and there's always things happening. Lastly, we want easy, yes, clients. What that means is that you get on a call and if your marketing has done its job, not only have you generated the lead, but that lead is getting on a call with you and they're already pre-sold. They already want what you're selling because you've done a good job of your marketing. The whole job of marketing is to make sales superfluous. So if you can get people on the phone and they're easy yes clients, one, because your marketing's done its job, but two, because your sales process is dialed in and you have conviction and confidence about what you're communicating, then that is the outcome. We want easy yes clients, people that get on the phone and it's cool. Like, what questions do you have? Are you ready to sign up? That's pretty much what we want to get it to.
What every PT asks for when we jump on a call. I just want better clients.
Yes, that's how you get it. Cool. So this is obviously just still like outcomes and problems. It's not really like how do we get there. So how do we get there? The first thing we need to do is switch to semi-private. Switching your one-on-one sessions to semi-private is the biggest shift that is gonna like blow your fucking mind when it actually happens. There's, initially when we suggest this to a lot of people, there's a bit of resistance, right? The challenge is like, oh, my clients wanna work with me one-on-one. They don't wanna work in a group. Which to that, if you position it correctly, if you learn how to communicate the value of it and how it's different and better than doing one-on-one, clients love it. Like every single time we've done this with a coach, they've gone through this process of transitioning a semi-private. all of their clients have been, again, there's always the resistance. There's always that, like, I don't know whether clients are going to want to do this. I don't know whether they're going to be up for it or whatever. I'm going to lose clients. I'm going to lose income, blah, blah, blah. All the fear, all the stories start going on. The second that they do it, clients are so receptive to it because it's communicated in the right way when you do it in the right way. But then they actually get into semi-private and they love it even more than one-on-one, because not only are they getting to see you more frequently, because again, that's one of the ways that we position it, is getting more access to you and more sessions, but we're doing it in a very leveraged way so that you're able to condense your time to about 3 to 4 hours on the gym floor. But they actually get in those groups and they start loving it even more because they've got people around them that they're, one, competing with, but two, they can actually connect with. And so they start, rising tides lift all ships, right? And so they start leveling each other up. They start holding each other accountable. And now there's community being built, there's culture. And so this is the biggest kind of like cornerstone of this whole process, because this is what allows you to condense your time without losing any income.
Fair to say as well, most PTs, the thing for you guys is if you get bored and if you're doing back-to-back and one-to-one to one-to-one all day, I guarantee you going through the motions a lot of the time, and it can become oddly impersonal and boring. And I'm just saying, if someone's done it 5 to 10 years, where do you go from there? Like, what's the answer in 5 or 10 years?
Yeah.
Do you want to keep doing that?
Want to do that until you're 65?
Yeah, and more about you. You want to challenge yourself to have a higher level model. That's why people go from being in service to more of an advisor or a consultant. Yep. It's a shift, it's a level up in your coaching and your skill. And then you start to enjoy it more because you've actually got to think and be sharp. It levels you up as a coach as well, because now you're becoming more of an advisor and less needy from the client. They will love it, and there's a whole system and a process to doing this well.
Yeah. There's absolutely a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. You've been doing this since like early on when you were a PT. So
I ran a PT studio.
This is not a new thing. This is not something that's like, like untested. This is something that's been proven over decades. Every single one of our clients that starts with us does this, and they all fucking love it. Once it actually happens and they do it and they see it happening, like, the fucking world's their oyster.
Again, not for a trainer that's brand new. I like you to be in the trenches for a couple of years, but I guarantee you start to see the writing on the wall with one-on-one, and we want to make this switch straight away.
Big time. Once we've got that, we've got time in your schedule now. But we don't want to go and fill that time with more semi-private, more sessions on the gym floor, because again, you might make more money, but you're just going to end up running into the same problem again. You've got this glass ceiling, and you've got no time freedom. So what we want to do instead is with the additional time that you've got, is we want to launch online. Right? Now that you've got time in your schedule to actually work on that project and do it properly, you will be able to do it in a way where it takes off a lot faster than if you're trying to do 40, 50, 60 hours a week on the gym floor and launch an online business at the same time, which is what most of you will do. So we want to use the time that you get back from switching to semi-private to launch the online thing. One of the ways that we teach people how to do this is to not just sell like weekly coaching or anything like that, but to actually sell a transformation, to sell a result in a certain time frame. Usually it's around 12 to 16 weeks. And if you can do that, you're not selling coaching, you're selling an outcome. And what that does is it positions it as a lot more valuable in the mind of your client or the prospective client. When you do that, it allows you to charge a lot more. So we have people charging $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for this, for a 16-week transformation. That is what you want to do, because that allows you to collect money up front and allows you to reinvest in your business. When we do this, when we first kind of get things launched, right, what we want to then do is something called a beta test. Now, this is kind of like your initial offer that you put out and your initial invitation to have your first few clients come on board and help you test the whole process. Because if you've never run an online business, there's going to be things you're going to need to learn. There's going to be a growth curve. There's going to be a learning curve. And so doing a beta test, one, helps us market it and get your first few clients, but two, helps you identify the gaps and make it a world-class product. So again, there's a process to that. I don't want to go too much into it because this video is going to be way too fucking long. Next, we have invite clients. And what that means is you've got all these clients here in semi-private who all have a goal, who all are working with you to achieve a certain outcome. Your online offering is going to be another way for you to help them get there faster. And so not everybody's going to be down for it. Not everybody's going to be down for spending extra money. But what we want to do is have people in semi-private also invite them to be part of the online thing, because they're going to get additional support. They're going to get additional things as part of the online stuff, where it's going to help them get results faster, because you're able to give them more support and more access to you to make sure that they're doing the things and showing up for themselves and getting making progress on the outcome. Okay, so inviting your clients, again, this is one of the things that most business owners just don't even, like, not just personal trainers, but business owners in general. It doesn't even occur to them half the time that they can sell their current clients, their current customers, something else to make more money and to help them even more.
They're already sold on you. So
they're the easiest people to sell.
Yeah.
And they've already got a level of trust with you. They've already got a relationship with you, and they already invested in working with you. So you can help them more. You can help, like, if you create a really fucking awesome online offering and then invite those people to be part of that, as well as what they're doing in semi-private, it just, like, it accelerates their results and makes their life a lot better.
And this is what quickly you guys want to fill this. You want to have a beta launch, you want to launch it, you want to test it, and you want to refine it. What we don't do is start off with, hey, let's go get you out of your business and perfect this thing and spend forever creating it and never launch it. Or, you know, so the whole idea is you get all these lessons, these learnings, but you stack a lot of proof because people have gone through it, they love it, and then you're able to refine it. And down the track, we make it even better. But that's the idea. And you actually make money from the thing in the launch.
Yes.
And now you've got the proof and the belief because you've done this thing, you've launched it, and you can go to market now with it, and you have a confidence in what this thing is, which is this thing that you're investing in the long term in to build.
That it gets results, and that it's an awesome experience for clients that are part of it. The other thing I want to touch on that you just said as well is getting your first 5 clients is essentially what's going to allow you to achieve this outcome. Because if you can sell this for even just $2,000, which again, probably sounds wild to you right now listening, because you probably never sold anything for $2,000. But if you learn to position this and this correctly and sell the outcome, sell the destination instead of the plane ticket and the features and the things that you do, you will very easily be able to sell a transformation for $2,000.
Matt, I want to come back to everything you said very quickly. We want to teach you how to become value-based. I really want you to get this. This was the big shift I had 12 years ago. When you become value-based and you start really thinking about leveraging yourself, and guys, people are out there doing it. If you've been in the industry, you know you're fucking smart. You've got a lot to teach people. If you can package this, put this in a completely different way and create the result, guys that have just trained with you, when they start to look at all the areas of their body and going a lot deeper into the things they know they're not addressing, they are going to have amazing outcomes. So understand that your value in someone spending $2,000 with you is like 10x, because it changes their whole fucking life.
They're not paying for coaching anymore. It's not a commoditized service that they're paying for.
No.
They're paying for a transformation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, marketing and growing a business is all a game of perception. If you can make sure that you are communicating the correct, higher perceived value of what it is that you're actually offering, the outcome, not the thing that gets them there, again, the destination, not the plane ticket, then you're going to, you'll be able to charge whatever you want, really. I mean, up to a certain point, of course.
Pricing's all in your, I'm telling you guys, pricing of anything is all in your brain. And you sell it, you'll sell 5 of these and you'll realize, oh, it's worth $2,000. I sold that easy.
Yeah.
It's now going to $3,000. It's all about you. And you understand as you build and you get more experience, you stack these results, you know the worth of it.
Big time. Yep. Lastly, we have pipeline and KPIs. 2 things that personal trainers are very averse to, because it means that they actually have to look at their shit. It means they have to do some math, and it means that they've got to plug some numbers in. But without knowing these things, without having a pipeline to manage the leads, to manage the communications and the follow-ups and the relationships that you're building with people in your beta test and in your marketing, and without tracking your KPIs, you're not going to know if your business is actually moving forward or not. Anytime an investor looks at purchasing an asset, what do? They look at the numbers, because they want to know on paper, is this thing going to produce a positive return on investment? You can't do that without having this.
You guys froth as much as you do about volume, intensity, rep sets, fucking everything you track.
Imagine going to the gym and doing a workout and running a program without actually tracking the fucking weights that you're doing, the reps you're doing, the sets.
Some do, but let's be honest, they're the dud trainers. You guys are pretty switched on. You need to understand that and know the numbers, because when you do, you'll have this confidence in this becoming very predictable in terms of what we're teaching you how to do.
Yep.
It becomes very replicable.
Final step. We have a 2-step sales process that we teach our guys. That is called triage,
A triage call.
and game plan. The triage is the first step. That's, the word comes from the emergency department, right? If you go into the emergency department, you've got an issue, you've got a concussion, or you're fucking bleeding out your artery or whatever, they're gonna triage you. They're gonna triage you, and they've got a specific process to go through to identify what the problem is, how urgent is it, and how do they need to help you. And so that is what we want to also do in the triage call, so that we can figure out what their problem is, can you help them, and what's the best way to help them. Then, if they're a good fit and you can actually help them, we organize a game plan call. That is where we go into the deeper game plan of how you actually get them from where they are now to where they want to be. That involves asking questions to actually understand where they are now, what are the problems they're dealing with, what's the outcome that they want, and what's the gap, what's the thing that they need to overcome to get there. The other thing, the reason that we do it in 2 steps is because you don't want to get on a consult or on a game plan session or on a longer call with somebody and spend a whole hour or more with them without knowing first if they're qualified, if they're going to be a good client, if you can actually help them. How many times do people go through sitting this is what I do, this is what we're going to do, this is the program that you're going to get done?
They don't know that PTs, if you don't know your process, if you're not clear, this triage call in a short 10 to 15 minutes literally gets you to the point of, if we're a fit, well, we potentially work together. And if we're not, that's cool. And you would rather do that quicker than waste 4 times the amount of that time. That's why a game plan is more building the picture and creating the buy-in. And it's just so much simpler. If you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know your process, you're going to spend way too long. And there's nothing worse than wasting your time. The highest use of your time it's about having an ROIT, right? Return of investment on your time.
Yes, 100%. And I think the big issue is if you don't have that initial process, that initial triage process, you do risk getting on these calls or these consults and wasting a long period of time with somebody. If you're not sure that they're going to be a good fit, if they're going to be a good client, if you can actually help them, that 45 to 60 minutes, sometimes even up to 90 minutes for a lot of guys, that's a big waste of time, especially when you're already busy on the gym floor, you're already doing a fuckload of sessions.
Totally. And one thing I want to leave you on is, guys, you're used to doing your own sales process, so it's easy for you to sell you. Everything that we showed you, if you want to create an income producing asset in 3 years, you need to learn how to have a system where it wasn't you. Because if it wasn't you,
we're leveraging other people's time.
Someone could close at 40% plus in your business. But if you sell like you, and it's easy for you to flex and show your skill and all your stuff, but if it wasn't you, I guarantee you this is where most PTs, they don't have a process, it's hard for them to teach, and this is why they get really shitty, and that's why you end up getting stuck back being the only person in your business.
Yeah, and you have to wear all the hats and do everything yourself, which means that you're working for income.
Yeah.
Which is not what we want.
And you're going to get stuck with your time.
Yeah, 100%. Guys, thank you for joining us. Like I said, the point of this video was not to convince you of anything. I hope it was valuable. I hope you had some clarity on that. If you watch this and you think that this might be helpful or something that could work for you in your business, I'd invite you to reach out to Mark on Instagram. Find him on Instagram at Mark Luxon. Send him a DM with the word relaunch, and we can ask you some questions and figure out if we can help. And if we can, then we can run you through some details of what it might actually look like to work together. But other than that, thanks for joining us. Hope it was helpful, and we'll see you in another video soon. Take care.